This is episode 80 of the After Gambling Podcast. And in this episode, we're going to talk about gambling ads. Hey there, and welcome to the After Gambling Podcast. My name is Jamie. I'm a former problem gambler, and I changed my life on July 15th of 2010, and sort of haven't looked back since through some ups and downs, but the trajectory has been one that I really enjoy, and now I do this little podcast to share my story, share the story of other people, to provide kind of some ideas and insight into the addiction to help other people start their journey to get to hopefully where I am and so many other people are. Now today I wanted to talk about gambling ads. This is a hot button topic, and I am going to take a different approach to it. Because I tend to have different approaches to just about everything these days. I fly opposite of public opinion quite often. And for this specific topic, I have pretty intimate knowledge with the topic. This is what I do for a career, advertising and marketing. So I'm very attuned to understanding how it works, how the sausage is made. And so today I'm going to talk about some of that, and I'm also going to give you some ideas and insight into how I went through the process of reprogramming my responses to gambling ads, because ultimately it's been really good for me. So as you finish this episode, it's my hope that you start applying some of these ideas, and you'll just never look at a gambling ad the same again, and it just won't matter. They seriously won't matter. So first off, I want to start off by saying that gambling ads aren't going away. Plenty of campaigners and advocates for problem gambling point to the ads as being problematic. And I want to stop here and say, I agree. They're part of the problem. Absolutely. But getting rid of them just doesn't seem like the solution for me. And that's, I guess, what we're going to talk about in this episode. And I'm going to give you a different solution. And as I said, while I agree with those people that would like to see gambling ads just completely banned, I have to say, I think they're living in a fantasy land where they feel like they're doing something good, but there's also the potential they may be creating even more fragile followers and more fragile former problem gamblers that may set those people up for failure. And that's really my concern. And that's why I think the approach I've taken has worked for me. And it's one that I think builds more resilience in people, which is ultimately what I like to see. I like to see people, I like to be somebody that's resilient, that throw all the obstacles at me. I'm going to be able to get through them because I have the tools now that I didn't have in the past to make it through. So first, let me start off by talking about how advertisers and marketers think. How do we go about creating these ads? What goes through our minds when we're creating these things? Because that gives you so much insight into understanding how to unprogram your mind or to not fall into the trap of the advertiser or marketer. So the first thing I always do, anytime I'm working with a client or working on a project, the first thing I'm always asking is, who's the target market? Who are we trying to reach? Who are we trying to sway, influence, get somebody to buy something? Who are they? And more importantly, what do they already think? What do they feel? What do they want? Like, those are some of my core questions. Like, what do these people want out of life? And those are the questions that I'm asking before we even get to connecting to the product. Because once I know how somebody thinks, what they feel, what they want, now I can start to use those as hooks and to start tying my product story into those hooks. Because if without those hooks, it just becomes really hard to get somebody to really want to engage with a product, to try a product. But once you can start telling a story that speaks to their inner wants and desires, now you've got them. I mean, in the marketing world, you've got them. Now the process becomes, okay, now that you know those things, all you have to do is tell a story that is just believable enough in their head that reinforces some of those thoughts in their mind, many of which are flawed thoughts, and we'll get into that later. But you take those thoughts, those feelings, those desires, those wants, those cravings, and you tell a story that answers them, that provides solutions, or that moves them towards whatever they want, whatever they need, whatever they desire in life. So when I see people say that advertising is predatory, yes, of course it is. All advertising is predatory in a way, because it is looking to influence people, to capture somebody's attention and to convert their inner needs and wants into some kind of purchase or some kind of action or movement in their life, which benefits the person that's telling the story, the advertiser. Now, this is a place where I'm going to go back to the Alan Carr book, which says that we become addicted to gambling the moment that we believe that gambling can help us, right? The moment that we believe gambling can help solve our financial problems, or if we're struggling with a relationship issue, the moment we believe gambling is the perfect escape to get away from it all, to not feel those feelings that we don't want to deal with. And that ultimately is where we get into trouble. So as the advertiser, I start looking at it and I'm like, okay, these people, they see gambling as a way to change their life financially or to escape, right? And so you start telling some of those stories. And that's why advertising that talks about big wins of other people shows social proof. Hey, so-and-so won this big jackpot. Because what they want to do is connect the dot in your head that says, hey, maybe that will work for me. Maybe that's what I can do. Yeah, that story makes sense to me. That's how gambling can help my life. Or let's look at sports betting. A common one is that we all want to feel like we're right, that we are able to look at a tough situation or something that other people get wrong and we get the right answer. And we're probably taught this in school, right? Like we get rewarded when we have the right answer. And so sports betting provides an opportunity for us to fill up this emotional need of being right. And they deliver it to us and say, hey, if you can guess the first person to score in this game, then you get this huge prize. And so what they're really telling us is, hey, they're preying on that inner emotion of the need to feel right, that satisfaction that comes from knowing something that other people don't know. It's an emotion. So they prey on that and they develop a product and a storyline that just helps us tell that story to ourselves and make us believe it. So obviously one of the first things that we need to do if we're going to overcome these hooks is to figure out what the stories are that we have in our head. And hopefully at this point, you're starting to get some of those ideas about why you gambled, what you thought gambling could do for you financially, emotionally, status, all those types of things. And really understand and write those down on paper to understand what those potential hooks that the advertising might be playing into. That's going to be one of the first things. Now, I'm fully aware that it's pretty difficult at first to identify what our own emotions are, thoughts are, or maybe we know some of them, but I'll continue to encourage you to dig in and fully understand as many of those as possible. But the beautiful thing is you don't have to know your own. You can just kind of look and use this list of things that I've given you today, financial goals, emotional goals, escapism, all those types of things. And you can start using those instantly to look at gambling ads in a completely different light. So when you see the ad and it's saying, hey, guess the first person to be, and you'd be like, no, there they go. Look at them. They're trying to get people to feel good about themselves because they get a right answer, right? Like that's what they're preying on. Or when it's a bonus, you can dissect these things and be like, okay, yeah, they're giving a $500 bonus. All you have to do is turn that money over 50 times. So, I mean, what's the likelihood of anybody doing that in a casino? Pretty slim, right? And so you start to get in, and instead of shying away from them, you go in and you start to see how the sausage is made. And it's like, all right, there they go. Oh, there's all the smiling people that are happy and free and loving. Does that look anything like the casinos that I have been to where the people are just head down, depressed, clicking the button, click, click, click? And so when you start to see these advertising and you see through the lies, or you see what the hooks are, the stories they're trying to tell people, the stories they're trying to get you to believe, they're trying to get me to believe, and they're trying to get other people to believe. Once you see through them, this is the magician's trick that revealed. I'm the marketer telling you this is how the sausage is made. The moment you show me the emotions, the thoughts, the desires, the dreams, then I'm going to start using those to tell you a story that you believe is true. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is if you believe it's true. So the moment that you step away from that and say, okay, here's the emotion, here's what they're trying to prey on, and you see that it's not true. I mean, the Alan Carr book, you realize that the truth is that gambling made your life miserable. That gambling wasn't a way for you to get financially ahead. Instead, you dug a huge debt. You see through all the lies, and now these ads have become powerless. They don't hold anything over you. In fact, the more that they run them, the more that you see them, the more you're able to say, okay, I know that one. I've seen that before. And it almost becomes, just kind of like this thing where you use it as motivation. Michael Jordan, I learned Eric Church, like all these great artists, athletes, they use the people that tried to harm them as their motivation to keep pushing forward. And you can do this with the ads and be like, oh, there they go. All right, look at those 10 ads. Like there's 10 more ads where they're trying to get me. And it's kind of one of those things. It's like no chance because I know how it works. And you just laugh at it. And instead of getting upset with it or trying to hide away from it or shy away from it because it might encourage you, once you see through the bullshit of the ads, they don't work. They just don't work. And that's why I'm extremely passionate about teaching people how to see these ads in the light that I'm describing here. And I'll probably do more episodes on this because it's such an important topic. We can't bubble wrap ourselves away from society. We don't have any control over what ads show up on our feed. And the thing is with advertisers and marketers, I know us. We're sneaky little bastards. We're going to look for new ways, new avenues. You shut one door, we're going to go look for another. We've been doing it forever. Social media. We create these different platforms. We create websites. The advertiser will not stop looking for ways to get your attention and to influence you. That will not end. There is no person on this planet and no law on this planet, no government on this planet that is going to provide you with that security ever. So I don't see why we're obsessing with canceling ads instead of just educating people and showing them and using these ads against the advertiser because it is powerful. I'm telling you, I look at these ads and I'm like, wow, look at this bullshit. Look at the story they're trying to tell. It's a good story they're trying to tell. Too bad it's not going to work on me because I understand how it works. I'm not the pawn in the game anymore. And that's what I want for you. That's why I talk about resilience, stepping outside of the bubble wrap and fighting back, taking control over everything that we can control. You can control your education and understanding of how ads work, why they work, and then applying that to your life so they don't work on you. So hopefully this discussion helps to inform you on why I feel the way I do about gambling ads. It's not that I don't think they're manipulative. Of course they're manipulative. Food ads are manipulative. They're all manipulative. Advertisers and marketers, the job is to manipulate people, to tell them a story that gets them to take an action. Like that is manipulation. And it's not going to go away. So my hope is that you listening to this today, you decide to look at every ad in a completely different view. Because then the more ads they show you, the more that you see through the bullshit. And the more that you see through the bullshit, the less likely any ad is to have any influence on your life. In fact, it becomes completely opposite. Now all of a sudden we flip it and the ads become something that you use to further move towards a life completely after gambling. Free, easy. That's what I want for you. Now, as I've said several times throughout this episode, I'm an advertiser. I'm in marketing. I work in brand. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a financial planner. So please seek out professional help. This podcast is for informational purposes. I share my story to give you some ideas that you can then take to work with professionals and to really further your plan of recovery. So get that professional help. And music for the show is Something Elated by Broke for Free and is licensed under the Creative Commons license. My name is Jamie, advertiser, marketer, brander extraordinaire in my head. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.